Hi, everybody. I'm going to make this pretty quick. I have learned of some news thanks to my husband who watches news very diligently. Um, some things that Congress is doing that are very big and very different. um, things also I've heard about some of the executive orders that President Trump has signed just within the first week of his of office. And so I feel real urgency to go ahead and to share more things. Things are happening a lot faster than I guess the way that I imagined. I don't know. I didn't. I sort of wasn't sure. I knew things were going to be happening fast, but I'm a little bit alarmed by how much is going on and how fast some things are actually happening. Um, and So I was like, Lord, I'm just really concerned. Like we really have less time than I thought. And I'm like, Lord, I know you showed me this, that we don't have a lot of time, but I guess the reality is really sinking in now of just how little time we have. So I wanted to go ahead and share some things that I have been very reluctant to share. In fact, I don't know that I felt released to share this. Um, but I've been praying this morning, and I feel as if the Lord is really saying, go ahead, go ahead. So, Uh, so I just want to say that I've been making some pretty stern comments in my videos, to my videos lately. I've been dealing with a lot of stone throwing, lots of people throwing Bible scriptures at me and just really giving me a hard time. I found out I'm not the only one. There's a whole lot of us that are experiencing that in the prophetic sort of arena. Um, but I wanted to share, I've shared before that I've seen the Antichrist. I've seen him in detail. I mean, I will never forget that face. I will never forget the face that I saw. It is as clear today in my mind as the first time I saw it. And I've never shared this part, but I'm sharing now because I think it's very important. I love my brothers and sisters in Christ. I love you, and I pray for everyone. I pray for those who've had false prophecies. I pray for those who have spouted out all kinds of hate against Obama and spouted out all kinds of hate against Donald Trump, of anybody, okay? And I want to make that clear. When I had this vision, it was over 10 years ago. And in the vision, the first thing that I saw were a lot of Republicans. And I knew they were people who were very, a big part of the Republican Party. They were very involved. And they weren't just like, it wasn't like it was political candidates. It wasn't like it was, Republican candidates. It was truly people who are of, like conservative Christians that um, are not, I'm going to say they're not bad people. Like, and I say that because they're clapping and applauding as I see the Antichrist come in. Okay. So I want to make that clear that I'm seeing them applaud him and welcome him and embrace him. But I don't feel like that they are evil in their hearts. I see that they are deceived. They're very deceived and they are very deluded. Okay. Uh, I won't go into a lot of detail on this, but my husband and I worked with a very strong conservative Christian organization for a number of years. Um, and when we came out of that experience, excuse me, my husband, he wasn't fired or anything, but it was God had moved him on to something different to do specifically. And we came to see a lot of things that we had not seen before about um, a lot of the conservative Christian. Um, I'm just gonna have to call it what it is: deception. Okay. Um, it was very eye opening for us. After that, we did not feel comfortable about choosing a political side. After that, because of we began to see things about the Republican Party that was not what it appears to be. Okay, so I hear people talking about, the great delusion that's coming, and some people think they already know what this is, and people are saying different things. Some people don't believe it's already happening. It's happening now. It's been happening for a while. I would say decades. Excuse me, from what I'm been shown from the Lord, and it was truly eye-opening. So when I saw the Antichrist being welcomed, they were applauding him, they were welcoming him. I mean, even that was still astonishing to me in this vision. And the Lord spoke to me a whole lot about this because there's just so many things He's shown me. There's a great delusion and there is a great deception that's gone on, and it's been done through politics, through primarily the Republican Party. They will embrace this man, and it's not Donald Trump. This man's not from this country. And when I had the vision, I couldn't even fathom how this could happen, because God gave me all these very detailed things, information, very detailed information about this man. And I was thinking to myself, how would we ever come to a place where we would receive like someone like this, such a foreigner, and such a, I mean, people, now, especially, like, I mean, people were so upset about Obama and the birth certificate, and was it truly an American? And I'm seeing this vision, and I'm like, as years passed and I've prayed about the vision, because at that time, Obama wasn't even in the picture, okay? Because this was like 10 years ago, it was over 10 years ago. I'm thinking it's more like 15. But as time has passed, that's been hard for me. I'm like, okay, no, because the Republicans are so against, a foreigner being in power, so I don't see this. But you know what? The Lord spoke to me even that day when I was asking Him in the vision, about the vision, when I had the vision. Excuse me. He told me, He said, they are going to be desperate. Desperate. And this is why they'll receive Him. And as time has gone on, I'm beginning to see more and more that makes so much sense, because as I've grown and I've studied the scriptures, and I've prayed, and God's shown me more things, I realized that, and especially, with what I went through in my own experience with, being born into a Luciferianism sort of family and generational thing. As it's truly understanding what it's going to take to put the Antichrist where the Antichrist needs to be. And it is going to take a falling of power. It's going to take deceiving the Christians, or at least their attempt to deceive Christians. Okay. It's going to take a lot of different things, and being at a place of desperation, being at a place of, we don't really feel like we have any other choice. This is going to put us in a position to receive this man, and allow him to have power over this nation. So, I'm telling you now, in my own experience, and you'll hear this from other people who've come out of the Illuminati, or come out of, satanic cults that have connection with this, that Republican politicians, presidents, the majority of them, I'm going to say since Ford, are very high up in this organization, or were, and whereas, I mean, yeah, there's some Democrats, there's certainly Democrats in there, but they're not anywhere nearly as high in these positions as these that have gotten into the Republican Party. Okay? Now, I know this has been totally spun around and turned for years. This is part of the Great Delusion, guys. This is part of the Great Deception. For us to think that Hillary and Obama and every Democrat that ever lived, in our lifetime or even longer, are high up in the Illuminati, and they're so evil and they're so vicious. They certainly have their part and their place. But I can honestly say, in my own experience, it wasn't that way when I was getting out, and I've heard this from other people, Carolyn Hamlet, Kathy O'Brien, other survivors who've gotten out of this. that, yeah, the big guys were, Dick Cheney and Poppy Bush. I say Poppy Bush, I mean like George H.W. Bush, um, Donald Rumsfeld, Ford, Reagan. Yeah, Reagan, y'all. Ronald Reagan. And what I've seen is this increase, like in my lifetime, of people uh, leaning to the Republican Party because they're spouting out that they're against abortion and they're against homosexuality and they support Israel, and because um, you know, they are God's party. They say they are Christians, and they seem to not just say it. I mean, their positions seem to be on par with that. However, we have not seen them really make any difference in any of these areas. When the Republican Party had, like every, like when they were, it was George W. Bush in the White House, and then we had, House of Representatives and the Senate that were Republican majority, and we had even the judicial system that was Republican or conservative majority. Sure, W. Bush could have made an executive order to stop abortion, and he didn't. None of them did this. There was no real great attempt to bring an end to these things. And I think this says a lot. They're not going to get rid of abortion. They're not going to overturn it. And they've never really stopped this cycle of these other things. And that's because a lot of them, I'm not going to say all, a lot of them are high up in this Illuminati, Luciferianism worship. And they say, hey, let's try to deceive all the Christians. We know that they really hate abortion because it is abhorrent. No doubt. It is horrible. And we found something that we can get them to side with us on and vote for us on. And so people with good hearts, with a true desire to bring an end to these evil things, okay, have been supporting them now for quite a time. And if you think I'm siding with the Democrats, that's part of the delusion, the deception itself, is that Christians have been so divided. Like, oh, you can't believe that, or you must be a Democrat, you must love Hillary. Well, guess what? There is something worse than someone who openly supports abortion and openly supports gay marriage and homosexuality. Someone who openly even seems to not have a true love for the nation of Israel and its interests. There's something worse than that. And that's people who say that they do, and then they don't do anything about it. And there's all these arguments, well, they've tried, they've done. I'm telling you guys, this is such a big delusion and deception. It is not what it looks like it is. This is why I don't side with any political party. And I haven't for a long time, because politics has been, by design, mixed in with the church. Back when JFK was president, up until I think probably the 80s, I'm going to say the late 70s, maybe early 80s, this was not the way we voted. This is not the way we thought. But it became something. It was done by design to pull in good Christians and the majority of Christians in this nation to support and vote for those who are actually secretly killing babies. And I'm telling you, I know what goes on in these groups. Killing babies, sacrificing them. The mother has no right, because usually the mother is a victim in the situation of, in these rituals that they do in the Luciferian system. They're killing babies. And I'm going to be graphic. I'm sorry. They're even eating babies. It sounds insane. Let me tell you something. There's animal sacrifices they do, and they also do human sacrifices. And there's a belief about ingesting blood and certain organs in their rituals. And they do this. They do this regularly. This is not like a strange rumor. Okay, I've been in meetings where I've seen this happen. And not with, I'm not going to say with any particular Republican, a lot of Republicans, yeah, in the group that I was born into. I'm not going to get into any details on that. But for the most part, like not anybody now because I was a kid then. So, and they're also participating in same-sex relationships. Well, I won't say relationships, maybe some, but it's more like same-sex activities. I mean, yeah, we've heard about Hillary and Bill, and I think they both are bisexual or whatever, and I don't agree with that. But do you know that a lot of these Republican politicians are also involved in doing the same exact thing? The ones that even speak against it horribly? Which is worse to God, do you think? Just saying that, a person that's cold, I guess you'd say, like Hillary Clinton, who says, I believe it's okay for people to be gay. I believe in gay marriage. I believe in abortion. It's good. It's good to kill babies, whatever. Or the person who says they are against it and that they love the Lord and then turn around and in secret. They don't do anything about it publicly and legislatively, nothing really in any way effective, nothing touching on what they could have done. And in the background, they're actually participating in these evil rituals. And they're actually all involved in all kinds of crazy sex orgies and stuff that are part of the rituals. And yet they're using God's name. I think God gets upset when you take his name in vain, and that's exactly what's been happening. They've been taking his name in vain, and they've been getting votes because of this. I am against this. I'm for this. And they get the votes, and then they don't do anything. And let me tell you something. These guys are the ones that are going to be fine. They're going to receive the Antichrist. I didn't see any Democrats there. I don't know. I mean, the vision, it was what it was. But he was received. And there was a strong feeling also with the Republicans that I saw there, that they loved him and they admired this man because of his view and his stance and his position on Israel specifically. Okay? So I'm just want to let you guys know, this is what the Lord's shown me. The great delusion and the great deception has been going on, and it is actually pretty heavy, but it's not peaked yet. The media, everybody wants to say, oh, the media is, always supporting Obama. I don't see that at all, actually. I really don't. I mean, it's like everywhere I turn. Of course, I'm a Christian, so I don't tend to focus on a lot of liberal groups and stuff, but it's been by design to make everything that is not the Republican Party and these positions to be the worst and most evil thing that's going on in the nation. But you know what? Satan's not interested in deceiving people who are already okay with evil sin, like abortion, okay? He's interested in trying to deceive and do damage to those who support God and those who do not support sin. It actually makes sense when you really look at it. And Jesus said, watch out for false prophets, lots of deception, they're going to come in my name. And yeah, okay, Hillary says she believes in God. Obama shares that he's believing in God and Jesus. But you don't see them supporting Christian principles, Christian ideas, Christian views. You don't see that. It's very open and honest. It's very out there. This is what they think. We know it's corrupt. We don't have to guess about that. These guys are saying they're against it, and they're actually not. And so I just want to encourage you. Pray about what I'm saying. This is where a huge, massive delusion is going on. America plays a really big place in this world. So it's so important for us to support these candidates that are much more evil and to lure us into voting and supporting these guys that are actually going to be able to, that are high in Luciferianism, and that are going to bring in the Antichrist. not just to the United States, to the world. And I don't know if it's going to come the way we see it coming. I've thought for a long time one way about it, some other visions I've had about the Antichrist, but with what Congress is doing right now, and I encourage you to look into it, and some of the things that Donald Trump's doing, I encourage you to look into that for yourselves. I can't help but, I don't know. I think some things are going to happen in some very unexpected ways, and I want people to realize that you cannot just believe somebody because they say something. And these guys are high up in the system. And that's why I've refused to support them. I've refused to vote for them. Doesn't mean that I go out and vote Democratic. I didn't vote in this last election. I feel like that I'm on the outside and I'm seeing a lot of things happening that a lot of people are just not able to see fully, because I was under this delusion and deception. Like I said, my husband worked for this organization and we learned a lot. We learned a lot, and the Lord showed us a lot in those years. Probably gonna really think that I'm totally evil now, or at least some of you are. But you know what? With what I've been through in the last few days, it doesn't really matter to me, and because I've been really attacked by people, by my own, what I would call my brothers and sisters that I love and that I pray for. I really do care about you. I care about my brothers and sisters. I care about the lost. And I'm not going to hold back and not share the full vision at this point, especially since the Lord is saying, say it. Say it. Go ahead and share. And I encourage you all, examine all your news sources, examine all the things that you see and that you have put together in your mind and that you believe about the conservative Christian party, which is supposed to be, Republican, basically. You could say libertarianism, but basically we've seen some interesting things with all of that kind of being pulled into the Republican view. And I think that's one reason Trump was elected, and so supported, was because it wasn't just, there was also a lot of people who have more libertarian views that liked him. Now, this deception needs to break. I'm praying that the deception would break off of every person watching this right now in the name of Jesus Christ. This is not about politics. This is something much bigger. This is about Satan. This is about Satan trying to, and working very hard to deceive anybody he can, to draw you into supporting even him, even though you don't realize that's what you're doing. I know that I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Because and I know in my heart that I truly supported Jesus. But it's very upsetting when you see, oh my gosh, I have been supporting people who are actually worse than people who come out and openly speak against Israel and openly do actions that doesn't support Israel, and actions that would in favor of killing children, and just openly speaking these things. It's deception. That's what deception is. So, I love you, and I think this might be my last video. I'm going to continue to pray about everything I see and everything I hear, and I'm praying above all that the delusions and this delusion and this great deception would come off of the body of Christ in this nation, because it's extremely important.